Chapter 17. I didn't see Logan the rest of the day. I looked for him at lunch, but there were so many students it was difficult to pick faces out of the crowd. I didn't need to eat anyway, so I went outside and sat on a bench. To my surprise, I found myself thinking of the greenhouse at Arcadia, to the gardens behind the cafeteria. I trusted Master Sabriel with my plants, but I wished I could see them now. I finished up my school day, familiarizing myself with the school. When the last bell rang, I went outside again and watched for Christine's car. I searched for Logan and Malik also, but didn't see either. "Look, it's Target," a scornful voice said. I didn't realize I was the object of attention until Smelly Girl from earlier stepped in front of me. She was ringed on either side by two slender girls who didn't look big enough to throw a cat. In spite of that, confidence and superiority oozed off of them and bled onto me. They stared at me as if I were a delicious dessert they were about to devour. "Target?" I said. I knew she wasn't referencing how her negative aura would be a target for the Temptare. She was inviting them in. "Dimwit, you're a Target girl, because that's where you shop." Her friends snickered. I recognized they were trying to put me down, but it wasn't working. Their emotions were too strong. The better they thought themselves, the better I felt. The paradox was quite intriguing. "No," I said, "you've caught me." I tried to smile, hoping she'd feel pleased with herself. There must have been something wrong with my delivery because instead of satisfaction, annoyance rippled through the girl and she pursed her lips together. "You just watch it, Target, you're going down." "I've been down," I answered. "There's nothing good there, and I'm not going back. But if you don't change your path, you will be going there." Her friends sent her startled looks, and a spike of alarm shot through me. No, not through me, through her, and I felt it, which I had not intended either. "I'm not trying to cause trouble," I said, hoping to get her defenses down. "But you're going the wrong direction. She thrust her arms out and shoved me. My body was slow to respond, like it took it a moment to realize it should react. Then I stumbled backward. "You're going the wrong direction, Target," she snarled, her finger in my face. "You're nothing here. Keep your face to the dirt, or I'll put it there for you." Anger slashed through me, sharp and strong. Her touch hadn't hurt me, but I could hurt her. I closed my hand on my backpack strap. She turned and walked away, done with me, though her two friends cast glances over their shoulders as they went. I took a deep breath, waiting for her anger to melt away along with the superiority and smugness I'd felt from them. The latter dissipated, but the anger stayed, still smoldering inside me. And that was when I realized it was my anger. Christine's car pulled up while I went through meditation techniques, trying to school my feelings. While the actions of others had upset me before, Malik and I had fought plenty, and Karubial always made me angry. I hadn't expected there to be anything humankind could do to anger me. They were mortal and had no bearing on my life. Why should anything Smelly Girl said incite me to rage? "Hi," Christine said, unlocking the door right before I popped in. "How was your first day of school? Everything you hoped it would be?" I dropped my backpack at my feet and leaned against the chair. "It was enlightening. High school students are far more reactive than I expected. And more complex." "That's quite an observation." She glanced at me and added, "Seatbelt, Jessica. It's the law." I pulled the strap from the door frame across my shoulder to the holder at my hip. "I met a girl who didn't like me." "Already?" Yes, she didn't like my clothes." Ugh, Christine rolled her eyes. "Teenagers. They're like a pack of wolves, trying to establish hierarchy. At some point they realize they don't have an alpha. Did you meet any nice people?" "Several," I said. "This boy Mason helped me find my first class and told me how to get to my second. He walked me there without me asking." "A boy, huh?" Christine shot me a mischievous smile, but I felt the concern and alarm leap from her aura. "He was just being nice. I was impressed by his kindness." "I'm sure that's all it was." I looked out the window, again mesmerized by the houses we passed and the enormous trees studding the sidewalks. I sensed Christine's worry without looking at her. She needn't be concerned. Only one boy could hold my thoughts. Malik returned to my room that evening as I sat in the large brown bag reading a fiction book Christine had found for me. He startled me as he flew through the window, landing gracefully in front of me. "Well," he said, his eyes sparkling and a smile pulling at his lips, How was your first day of school? They're back. I didn't mask my joy. I thought you said a few days. I said a day or two. This was a day. How did school go? Christine had asked me the same thing, but with Malik, I didn't hold back. I put my book down open-faced on the carpet. Both marvelous and shocking. Humans? How can you accomplish any task with so many contradictory emotions raging within you? Many of us have tried to adopt a Vulcan philosophy, but we're too irrational to follow it through. I blinked at him. He waved it off. Sorry, too much pop culture, not something you would understand. So tell me the best thing and the worst thing. The best thing. I discovered kindness in places I least expected it. I'm reminded that humans put on a facade to portray one thing while something else is going on inside of them. Why do they do that? Malik shrugged. Not everyone appreciates honesty. Teenagers learn to pretend to be someone else so they can be accepted and avoid judgment. It's a hard time in their lives while they're coming into themselves. I bet Mason's real self is kind and generous. Mason? Malik arched an eyebrow. He's the boy who helped me find my class. I misjudged him when I met him because of the expression on his face and the clothes he wore. Why would he not want people to see who he is? It's complicated, Jez. You'll start to understand. Because kindness isn't rewarded, I said. See, you figured it out rather quickly. I fell silent as I considered the lies perpetuated by the Temptare, the mockery planted among the children of men. Lie to get ahead. Good guys finish last. No one likes a tattletale. That is a shame, I said. So Mason was the best thing that happened to you today, Malik said, his tone teasing. The day's not over, I said, teasing right back. Malik burst out laughing. He crawled onto the beanbag beside me and I scooted over to make room. My wings were spread out behind me and he nestled into the downy feathers of one of them. I felt the weight of his head and neck, the tickle of his hair as it brushed the veins of my feathers. The day just got better, I said. He placed his hand next to my leg and I placed mine beside his, our auras jumping up and mingling as if they'd been waiting all day for that. A feeling of calm and contentment washed over me and I closed my eyes, relaxing into the peace. And the worst part of your day? That girl, I said, my eyes flying open. She made me angry, Malik. The one from the office this morning? Yes. She found me after school and taunted me, pushed me, and bullied you. I didn't expect to get angry. I thought I had more self-control than that. I thought humans were too insignificant to affect me. His head pivoted and I felt his eyes on my face, but I didn't turn my head. Made you angry? He asked. I don't know. I thought at first I was feeling her emotions and then I realized they were mine. I got angry. I wanted to push her back. You asked for a human experience, but I thought I would be observing, not feeling it also. You could have observed from Arcadia, but you wanted to be involved. You wanted to be in the middle of it, and this is why. It's one thing to study human emotions and their irrational responses, but it's quite another to have an irrational response yourself. He was right, and I'd known that intuitively. I moved my fingers between his, running my hand back and forth in the gaps between his fingers. What was wrong with her? Em's got her own issues, but she's a dime a dozen. High school is ripe with girls like her. Do you know her name? Malik squinted, considering. Maybe. I've heard it in passing. Shasta or Sandra or Shanna, something like that. You said she's someone else's assignment? Yeah. She's got a guardian. Lots of them do. You won't see them very often since we each try to use a different dimensional plane so we don't distract each other. But you might see one from time to time, usually from another campus. Try not to react when you do, he chuckled. And you can't talk to me when you see me. I smiled, imagining how I must have looked walking down the hall and talking to the empty space beside me. I can't ignore you. Sure you can, just pretend like I'm not there. I swiveled my head to face him and repeated, I can't ignore you. Our gazes locked and held. Malik stirred, raising up on his side and studying me. Do you think, he said, his tone uncertain, I could try to kiss you? My face warmed at the question, and my body grew hot at the idea. I wanted him to so very badly. What if I hurt you? The darkness is gone. You're not bound to Shoal anymore. I'm more concerned about hurting you. That I did not care about. Try it. My heart raced as Malik pushed up and leaned over me. His face neared mine, and I closed my eyes, anxiety and fear suddenly lancing through me. I don't care if it hurts, I told myself. My aura tingled when his brushed mine, and I braced myself. Jez, he whispered, pulling back. I opened my eyes and met Malik's gaze where he hovered just inches above me. Did you do it? I breathed, a sense of disappointment taking hold. I hadn't felt anything. At the same time, relief rippled through me. It was over, and it hadn't hurt. He gave a soft laugh, and gray spiked through his aura, a sadness he couldn't hide. No. He lay back on the bag, and this time I pushed up on one elbow, facing him. No? Why not? 'Cause I could feel your fear. I exhaled. As much as I'd tried to shove it down, the fear had radiated outward. I'm sorry. I am. I feel like a jerk. I shouldn't have been thinking about what I wanted. You would have done it just to please me, when I should have been putting you first. It wasn't to please you, I protested. I want to touch you so badly. I want it too, I swear. Don't swear. He lifted a finger and pressed it near my lips. I'm so sorry. Sadness and longing welled up in me, and my throat ached. I don't care if it hurts. I want to do this. Every girl says the same thing. He pushed off the bag, shards of red spiking off him. I won't be that guy. He went to the window and flew out, and I ran after him, pressing my hands to the glass and trying to find him in the night sky. But he was gone, and I was left alone and confused. CD. I sat with Logan in geography again the next day. He didn't act surprised this time and responded politely when I asked how his day had gone. Then class began. I had a computer for my classes, one of Christine's old ones. It didn't get on the internet at school, but she had taken the time to load all my books for classes. I opened it and found the book Mr. King wanted us to look at. The computer was clunkier than my agenda at the academy, but it served a similar function. Of course, what I wanted to know was where Malik was. There was no message tab, no way for me to reach out and contact him. I hadn't seen him since he'd bolted from my room the night before. Logan didn't pull out his phone during class, and no temptare appeared either. Did you want to eat lunch with me today? I asked him when class ended and we began to put our things away. He paused, as if considering. You really could come sit with us. The invitation sounded genuine this time, and not coded in pride or ulterior motive. I didn't know his friends, and I wasn't sure how great of an influence they were on him, but this would be a good way to find out. All right, how can I find you? It's the second round table on the right when you walk into the cafeteria. I'll see you then. I shoved my laptop in my bag and walked out the door, making my way to my literature class. It was a hike to the other side of the school. I'd been too focused the day before to pay attention to those around me, but I took the time now to glance around. Some students hurried past me, eyes downward and shoulders hunched as if trying to disappear into their backpacks. They didn't glance at me or anything else. Others walked slowly, turning their heads from side to side and scanning the halls, then waving at familiar faces, an awkward, desperate smile on their faces. Still others moved with purpose, weaving in and out of crowds of students while chatting to a friend or nodding hello to someone. I stopped moving and stood still in the river of human children. Colors and emotions spiraled around me in a kaleidoscope of feeling. I could no more separate what I felt from what they felt than I could pinpoint which human in the sea of emotion felt which way. Perhaps I would be able to one day, but I didn't have the training or the discipline yet. Laughter reached my ears, mocking and cruel, and I turned toward it, drawn to the macabre ridicule in their voices. Following the sound, I entered a hallway where 3 girls hovered over another. Their backs were to me, but I could see the girl they taunted. Small and petite, with beautiful angular features and dark eyes, fear and anxiety rolled off her, and her aura flashed panicked colors of red and black and deep purple. Around the other 3 clustered 4 dark shadows, 4 temptare, their fingers elongated and reaching into the huddle, their forms vibrating and quaking as they prepared to feast. Hey, I shouted, get away from them. The temptar didn't react. I broke into a run, intent on dispersing them. Only when I was nearly upon them did they twist enough to take me in. I sensed their confusion as they analyzed me. Was I human or an angel? I didn't have the light or the form of other angels, and they must have realized that because they turned their attention back to the girls. But the leader of the pack of girls, a familiar, smelly blonde, had focused on me now. "Are you trying to protect us from her?" She threw a finger behind her at the girl pressed up against the metal cabinets. "I didn't know you had it in you, target." The temptare moaned and clutched at their faces, an audible, slippery sound that made me shudder. But their window of opportunity hadn't closed, and as she took a step toward me, the temptare closed in on her.
I ignored her and looked toward the girl they were taunting. "Are you okay?" Tears streaked her face, and she trembled, but she nodded. Her aura hadn't improved. She wasn't sure if she was safe yet. "Hey," Shasta/Sandra/Shanna snapped her fingers in my face. "I'm talking to you." I turned my attention back to her, inhaling deeply. I knew what the temptare were after. She would be easy to drag into darkness. She already craved the approval of the world. We could take her into the shadows, eat away at her soul, until nothing but a shell remained. For years, we could chip away at her, a constant nourishment, and she wouldn't know until it was too late. "No, not we." I exhaled and took a step backward, my insides laced with panic. "I'm not a tempter," I said aloud. She snorted. "What's that, the mascot from your old school?" "Well, you're far from home now. Target." The tempter honed in on me, drawing closer, fingers outstretched and probing. Smelly Shasta plucked at my shirt collar and looked over her shoulder at the girl pressed against the wall. "You can go," she said cheerily. "I'll talk to you later." Taking a deep breath, the girl turned and fled. Smelly Shasta turned her attention back to me, grinning. "What did you say your name was? Target?" "She's one of old lady Maddox's foster girls," her comrade behind her said. "Oh, one of the rescues." The temptare divided, two of them diving at Smelly Girl, whispering in her ear, and the other two clustering around me. Wanted to bash her face in, to hurt her for mocking Christine and her kindness. A sudden bright light filled the corridor, and I jerked my face away, blinking against the brilliance. Even Smelly Shasta took a step back, a confused expression on her face. "Get out of here, Jez," Malik said, and his voice echoed with an authority that made my soul tremble. A dagger was in his hand, and he leapt forward, aiming for the temptare beside me.
Chapter 18. I turned and ran from the school building, making it outside into the sunshine before I gulped down great breaths of fresh air. I collapsed to my knees and bowed my head, shaking inside. I winced when Malik appeared beside me, his light burning me uncomfortably. "What happened back there?" I cried. "I thought I was helping someone, and then the temptate—" "Stand up, Jez." I pushed to my feet, brushing away tears as they coursed down my cheeks. "I'm Lytled," I gasped out, shaking. "But I had thoughts." "You can still be tempted." Malik's voice was stern but gentle. "The temptare know our greatest weaknesses. Not even the angels are immune. Why do you think the fallen exist?" My stomach curled and I wrapped my arms around it. "They are men who lose their way on earth." "Roan, men who lose their way on earth arrive in Gehenna for one final chance before they are judged for either Sheol or Shemayim. The fallen are angels who have lost their way after being given the glory of Shemayim." "Angels can still be tempted," I said, echoing Malik's words. A coldness descended over me. I was tempted. "I told you you would be." "Did they know I'm an angel?" "Let's hope not. A fallen angel is a much bigger prize than a fallen human." "Did you dispatch with all of them?" "I only got 2 before the other 2 got away." His hand came out and stroked the edges of my feathers. "Are you all right? What would have happened if you hadn't come along?" "Well, I guess it's time you learned how to fight off temptation. It's something all of us humans had to figure out after all." 2 days in, and I'm failing. "Look at me, Jaz." I shook my head. I was too ashamed. I'd felt the darkness coming over me, but I hadn't fought it. I'd slipped, and I hated myself for it. Jez. His finger ran along under my chin, sending tingles through my aura. There's nothing you can do that will change how I feel for you. I accept you. His words warmed me, gave me confidence. I looked up, but I still had to squint. His brilliance was too pure. You don't know what I felt, I breathed out. I started to think like one of them, Malik. I wanted to feel her pain. I wanted her to... Malik swooped down and pressed his mouth to mine. I barely had a moment to register his actions before my lips ignited with a blazing heat, a searing flame that rushed through my core and lit my soul on fire. His light rushed up into my fingers, down to my toes, and out through my wings. My heart was crushing into a painful vice and exploding in delirious rapture all at once. The pleasure spiked and spilled over, and heat burst into flames, and it was hot, burning me, shooting through my limbs with an agonizing ecstasy, ready to consume me. Malik stepped back, the pressure ripping away from my lips and leaving me in a shock of cold. He looked at me, his eyes wide. Are you okay? I looked down at my hands, at the energy flowing over my fingers and around my wrists, tiny shocks tingling over my skin. I almost expected to see my clothes singed. I touched my lips again and wanted him back, wanted to feel that explosive rush of heat. I'm okay. I was more than okay. We could kiss. I reached for him, wanting to take his hand, wanting to hold him, but he stepped back. A knot of worry fluttered in my heart. Had I taken some of his light from him? Did I hurt you? No. He reached out as if to caress my face, but he dropped his hands before he could. His eyes were soft, but I sensed concern from him. Jez, I'm sorry about the way I left you last night. It's harder for me to control my emotions when I'm on Earth, and my actions made me think of things I wish I could forget. He held my gaze as if he were confessing something to me, but there was nothing he could have ever done that compared to what I had done, and if he knew that, he would regret that moment of his lips on mine. I had to kiss you, to show you what you mean to me, but I won't do it again. No, I said, already shaking my head. I want it again. I burned you. No. Well, yes, there at the end, but before that it was perfect. I never felt anything so wonderful. And you wanted more, and I wanted more, and that's when it got dangerous. That's how it always goes. I still felt Malik's light coursing through my body. We can stop before then. He buried his hands in my wings on either side of me, pulling me as close as he could without touching me. I won't risk you. Not for anything. I lifted my hand and held it above his chest, mingling with his aura, feeling the beating of his heart, the angelic life energy that pulsed in and out of his body. We stood like that for a timeless moment, his light beneath my fingertips, his fingers locked with my feathers. The bell rang inside the school, jarring me away. What's that? Lunchtime, he smiled, but it seemed broken, and there was something aching in his eyes. Still not used to the school schedule? I remembered my big plans. I'm eating lunch with Logan. You are? He regarded me suspiciously. I never got to tell you yesterday. Malik, he's got a tamtari. Malik inhaled. You saw one? I nodded. I wasn't sure at first, it was hazy and unclear, but it sat with him in class and became more solid, and then I was sure. Tamtira wisps of shadow when they're hungry. After they feed, they get stronger. How should we do? How can we protect him? You're eating lunch with him? I nodded. Just be aware, I'll keep an eye on you guys. If the Tamtira sees me, it will leave. But not if it sees me. It must not know you're an angel. How will you dispatch it then? I'll either have to catch it by surprise, or Logan will have to be the one to do it. He has to be strong enough to withstand the temptation. My face warmed as I remembered how I had fallen prey to the Tamtare's call. How could a mortal boy be expected to resist when I almost hadn't? Malik ran a hand over the ridge of my right wing. Sometimes just knowing temptation is there is enough to make you stronger. And knowing you don't want to give in can block their influence. Yes, I nodded. I'll warn him. I'm warning you, Jez. Keep yourself strong. And I'll keep myself strong. I almost laughed at his last comment, like anything could tempt you. He tugged on one of my feathers. Go inside, I'll stay out of sight. Act normal. Act normal. I pulled at my backpack and wandered back into the building, as if I even knew how to do that. I stepped into the cafeteria and turned to the right, my eyes seeking out the round table with Logan, while my mind tripped over the events of a few minutes ago. Malik kissed me. Yes, it hurt, but it had also felt wonderful, and I wanted it again. I would die a million deaths by fire if it meant he would keep kissing me. I spotted Logan's table and neared it, pausing behind an empty chair. The kids at the table looked up at me and then turned away, uninterested. I cleared my throat. Logan? He looked up from his conversation and noticed me. Oh, hey, go ahead and sit there. Now his friends paid closer attention to me. The girls gave me a once-overs and the boys eyed me over their cans of soda and water bottles. Who is this? One of the boys asked. I'm Jessica, I said. She's Jessica, Logan echoed. She's in my geography class. She's new, and I told her she could sit with us. Jessica, that's Dee Dee, Sophia, Henry, and Jacob. Curiosity flashed in their eyes, and they looked at Logan like they suspected there was more to the story. But they just smiled and nodded. Where did you move from, Jessica? Dee Dee, a girl with short-cropped brown hair, asked. I examined her just as she examined me. She had all the makings to be a future Shasta/Sandra/Shani, but she wasn't there yet. She needed a few more strokes to her ego, maybe a little bit more temptation whispered in her ear. For now, she still had a friendly, inquisitive look in her eyes. Baton Rouge, I said, sticking to the story Barakiel had given Christine. I'm a foster child. Jacob snorted so hard his water sprayed across the table. Whoa! Sophia, a girl with black hair piled high on top of her head and a dark tone to her skin, said, moving her drink farther away from him. You're a foster child? Jacob said, using his napkin to mop up the mess. Yes. They exchanged looks. Sophia widened her eyes and peered into her soda can while muttering, Interesting. Come on, guys, she's cool, Logan said. I gave him a smile. No wonder Malik cared for his welfare. Malik, I couldn't think his name without my knees going weak. Why don't you see if she wants to go to Woldenberg Park this weekend? Henry asked Logan. We're getting together for drinks after. She won't be able to, Dee Dee said. Foster kids aren't allowed to do anything. I could ask, I said. Let's exchange numbers, she said, bending toward me. I can call and invite you to spend the night. Then you can go with us and come back to my house. Your foster mom never has to know where you went. I can't lie to Christine, I said. And I don't have a phone. They laughed at that and Dee Dee smirked, leaning back in her chair. I knew you wouldn't be able to. She shot a triumphant look at Logan. Oh, don't lie, Logan said. Just spend the night with Dee Dee, that's all you have to say. It was an untruth and I couldn't do it. I still don't have a phone. Logan shrugged. If you want to go, we can figure this out. The bell rang to indicate the end of lunch, and we stood. Logan moved with me out of the cafeteria, pausing to throw his trash away. See, my friends are cool, they included you. That was nice of them. You have a landline? Christine had used that word, yes. Give me the number and I'll call you. We're good at coming up with a solution. I don't know the number. He rolled his eyes. Well, when you learn it, give it to me. All right. I waved to Logan as he hurried a different direction. I turned around and nearly ran into Malik. Malik. He pressed a finger to his lips. Don't speak to me. Well, stop jumping out in front of me, I grumbled. I lowered my voice and started toward the geometry classroom. He seems like a nice kid, and his friends were nicer than that Shasta girl. You said they're dangerous?
Not them. He met Jacob. He has an older brother, Alexander. Alexander's trouble. And Logan worships him. That's the problem. I assumed Jacob was one of the two boys I'd met at the table. I nodded. So what's your plan? Did you keep Logan away from Alexander? We'll have to talk later. Did you see any Temptar? I shook my head. All right, I'll see you tonight. CB. I was more cautious when I left my last class of the day. Instead of making a beeline for the pickup spot, I stayed inside the glass doors and scanned the grassy field. There she was. I spotted Shasta/Sandra/whoever tossing her hair behind her shoulder while she touched a boy on the chest, making eyes at him. He didn't need a temptare to be seduced. Resisting was not on his mind. Having another run-in with her was not on mine. I waited until Christine's little gray car pulled up front, and then I ran out the door, not looking back until I was inside. "How was your day, Jessica?" Christine said. Her voice was pleasant enough, but I felt an undercurrent of tension behind her tone. I put my backpack down and faced her, studying her posture for clues. She looked straight ahead while she drove, not at me, and her lips were firm. Her hands gripped the steering wheel as if for support. "It was all right," I said. "I had another run-in with that girl, and I met a few more people." "Anything you want to tell me about?" I tried to think if there was anything else. "I just told you the things I want to tell you about." Christine sighed, her shoulders drooping. "Jessica, I don't want us to have the kind of relationship where I can't trust you. I know you don't know me yet, and maybe you're not sure how upfront to be, but let me tell you right now, if you're honest with me, we can work through anything together." "Okay," I said. "That's very nice of you." But the tension wasn't gone. I'm not trying to be nice. I'm laying down the law. If you do something wrong, I expect to hear it from you. I waited, but it appeared she thought it was my turn to talk. I felt like the conversation had taken place while leaving out very important clues. She cleared her throat, and I shifted in my chair. "I've apparently done something to upset you," I said, clasping my hands together. "I'm sorry for that. Maybe you could tell me what I've done?" She shot me a single glance before facing forward again, a look of curiosity and uncertainty replacing her sternness. "Well, this is an interesting situation. What happened today before second hour?" The second hour, that was literature class. Before then, I'd been kissing Malik in front of the school. I wasn't sharing that. There was the incident with smelly Shasta girl. Christine was silent a long moment. "See, this is why I like you to tell me about situations. How would I know that's what happened if you didn't tell me?" "I didn't plan to tell you," I said. "I didn't know that was something to share." Did Christine expect a play-by-play of each day? Was that what moms wanted? So then what happened in second hour? I didn't go to second hour. We had reached the house and Christine pulled into the driveway. She parked the car before spinning to face me. "You didn't go?" "No. I went outside after the argument and sat on a bench." "Until when?" She looked perplexed. "Until lunchtime. Then I went inside and ate lunch." "You just didn't go to second hour?" Uh, hmm. You. Christine pressed her palm to her forehead, and then she started laughing. "Jessica, you can't do that." To what was she referring? I can't do what? "C'est places." Can't? I raised both eyebrows. You mean I'm required to go each day to every class? She leaned her forehead on the steering wheel, laughing so hard she groaned. Oh, my lands. And here I thought you were exhibiting typical rebellious behavior. She looked at me, her eyes shiny, her lips still quirking upward. I'm sorry. I misjudged you based on past experience. Okay, I said, still not sure what was going on. Tomorrow I'll call the principal and explain. Here's the deal, Jessica, honey. She took my hands in hers and I let her because the gesture felt intimate and maternal, and I ached so badly to know my mother. You skip a class, your teachers mark you truant, it's against the law, and you get in trouble. They tell the principal, and he calls me to let me know. It becomes a huge, great, big deal. So she squeezed my fingers, and I felt the slight pressure, even if I couldn't feel the warmth of her hand or the softness of her flesh around mine. Don't skip classes anymore. I won't, I promised. I didn't know it was a problem. I can see that now. She opened the door and got out of the car, grabbing a few plastic sacks from the back seat. Is there anything else you want to talk about? This girl you argued with? Are you being bullied? Yes, I said, shouldering my backpack and following her into the house. But it's not too bad. I just need to control my temper. You're sure you don't want me to call someone and talk to them about it? I considered that as I put my backpack on the table and leaned against the counter. I'm worried about the girl Shasta was bullying, but I don't know her name or how to protect her. Is that the bully's name, Shasta? I'm not sure. I heard a name like that, but it could have been Sandra or Shanna or something else. I see. Are you worried about the one who was being bullied? Yes. Shasta said it wasn't over and she would find her again. But you're not worried about yourself. I shrugged. She can't hurt me. Christine plucked a red apple from the bags and placed it on a plastic board. Well, see if you can find out their names, and I'll see what I can do. All right. I turned to go up to my room. Do you have any homework? Yeah. Make sure you do it. I did my homework religiously at the academy, but Earth homework? I wasn't really a student, so I'd considered my classes and thus the homework not real also. But Christine wanted me to, so... I picked up the backpack again. I'll get it done.
Chapter 19. On Sunday, I went to church with Christine and Matt. It was a new experience. I expected it to be like Shema, but the light was different, diluted by the darkness of mankind. The intentions behind the precepts taught were good, even if some of the principles were lost in translation. Humans couldn't be expected to understand. Most angels didn't understand. The light increased in the auras of most of the people in the congregation, but on others, the light didn't touch them at all. Darkness continued to ring their auras, but only I could see it. Their smiles and actions imitated that of the other light lit around them. Interesting, simply going through the actions didn't make one become light-lit. A few tempters skulked around the chapel, sniffing out those who resisted the light, feeding the threads of darkness weaving about them. I watched them. Some of the members carried so much light in their auras that the temptera couldn't get close to the humans beside them. I pondered the magnitude of what that meant. Their light shone so brightly it didn't just protect themselves, it shielded those around them. The same could also be true of surrounding oneself with darkness. True to his word, Malik did not kiss me, though every moment I was with him I thought of that kiss and mentally pleaded with him to do it again. If he sensed my desire, he kept quiet about it. Logan warmed up to me, even if his friends still eyed me like an intruder. I'm still waiting for your phone number, Logan teased me, as we left first hour together. Oh, I'm so sorry. I keep forgetting to memorize it, I said. I've never used a phone before. Everyone uses phones. Logan shook his head. Where did you live, a bayou? Hell, I replied without thinking, and then I pressed a hand to my mouth, horrified by my slip. But Logan laughed so hard that people in the hallway turned to stare. Something thick and smoky swirled in my peripheral vision, and I turned my head. A cluster of kids lingered in a corner, so obscured by Timtare that I couldn't make out how many there were. "Who are those guys?" I asked, a prickly premonition creeping up my neck. Logan turned as well, and his expression changed. "That's Jacob's brother Alexander and his friends. Come on." He pulled my arm in that direction, but I planted my feet with a shake of my head. I had no desire to get any closer. Logan didn't wait for me, but released me and sauntered over to the other kids. Though still in high school, some appeared older. Heaven's throne. I couldn't let him go alone. Pushing aside any misgivings, I forced my feet to follow. "Hey, Alex," Logan said, trying to look cool, but his aura rippled with orange and red, giving away his desire to please. A boy with hair and eyes similar to Jacob's shifted but didn't look at Logan. The other kids did, though. One smirked at Logan and elbowed Alexander. "Your brother's boyfriend's here," he said. Logan's demeanor changed, his eyes darkening. "Hey, Liam, how's it going?" he said, directing his attention to the boy who'd spoken. That oiliness was back to his voice, and one of the tempter peeled itself from the group and sidled up to Logan. Alex turned to face him. "I told you not to talk to me at school unless you've got something important to say." "Did you make a decision?" The Timtari hissed, weaving a finger through Logan's hair. I had no idea what it was trying to say, but I knew it couldn't be good. I stepped up to Logan, avoiding the Timtari clinging to him, and said, "Come on, let's go to class." Alex took note of me, his empty eyes raking over my body, and he smirked. "Nice, Logan. She's a pretty piece." "You laying claim on her?" a third member of the group said. "If not, I might." His words crawled over me, pulling a shudder from my core, and suddenly the Temptari were looking at me also. I hooked an arm through Logan's. We needed to leave here. "It was nice to meet you guys." I tugged his arm, but Logan's feet were rooted, the Temptara still filling him with ideas to win Alexander's approval. I needed to do something drastic to get his attention. I leaned over and kissed his cheek, and immediately he forgot everything else. His eyes darted to mine, and I took his hand with a squeeze. "Thanks for introducing me to your friends. We can't be late." I had almost all of his attention. He glanced toward Alexander, but when I tugged on him this time, he let me. "I do have something," Logan said. "I'll find you later." "I'll be waiting," Alexander said, already dismissing Logan. The Tempter lingered, however, following along behind us, sniffing after us like it smelled a wounded animal. "I'm sorry about that," I said, releasing Logan's arm as we neared the main hall. "I didn't like the way they looked at me, so I pretended to be your girlfriend." I knew this was a real thing, as I'd devoured at least one fiction novel a day since arriving on Earth. "Oh, they don't mean anything by it," Logan said, as if he'd been oblivious to the darkness in their thoughts and intentions. "Yes, they do," I said. Logan rolled his eyes. "Don't be so sensitive." He was still miffed at the way Alex had treated him. The Temptare hovered behind him, waiting for me to leave, waiting for the chance to get into Logan's thoughts. I didn't want to leave him, but I wasn't sure what to do. I had no way of reaching Malik, of letting him know there was a Temptari nearby. If only I had a dagger, I could dispatch it and continue on my way. "You're going to class, right?" I asked, trying to reassure myself that he'd be all right. "Yeah, of course." "Then I'll see you at lunch." "Yep." Logan didn't wave as he started down the hallway to his second period. I worried about Logan all through literature class. Timtari avoided angels, which was both good and bad. It made it easier for a guardian to influence an assignment, but harder for the guardian to dispatch them. But they didn't recognize me as an angel. They also weren't drawn to me as if I were one of them, so I didn't believe I still had the darkness of hell in me. I reached a hand up and traced the chain tattoos that ran along my forearms and up over my shoulders. My long-sleeved shirts always covered them, but I knew they were there. They were my last link to Sheol. I'd despised them my entire existence. Could they be working in my favor now? The teacher assigned us another book to read with a follow-up questionnaire. The bell rang after the 2-hour block ended, and I grabbed my things up. I rushed to the cafeteria, eager to see Logan and verify the Temptari had not polluted his mind in my absence. He was already at the table, sitting close to Didi and talking with her in a low whisper. I slowed as I approached, trying to make out what they were saying. "You could come over on Friday," Dee Dee said. My parents won't be home. Their auras flared between them, arcing out and probing before pulling back. Both had shades of red, though hers was tinged with orange and yellow, while the black and green in Logan's tinted the red to a deeper hue. I took a seat beside Logan, but he paid me no mind. The others of the group began to arrive, dropping their trays and beginning boisterous conversations, and Logan had to lean over for Dee Dee to hear his murmured replies. No one will bother us. Dee Dee's hand crept onto Logan's thigh under the table and gave it a squeeze. The dark red color swelled around Logan, but I didn't need an aura class to tell me lust had just become the strongest emotion in his soul. There was no temptar there, feeding them carnal desires, but there didn't need to be. The nature of humankind was that once a dark seed was planted, they would nurture it and let it grow of their own free will. Free will, a double-edged sword. But some humans overcame their nature. I thought of Christine and Matt and the genuine care and kindness I'd witnessed from them. Even if a tempter managed to get into their heads and plant a seed, I had no doubt they would rip it out and toss it before it could put down roots and grow. Logan noticed me then, as if I'd been invisible up until that moment. Hey, Jess, he said, and it was so close to my real name that it startled me. Hey, I said, how's it going? Not much changed since I last saw you. His hormones were subsiding, some of the lustful thoughts toward Dee Dee moving to the background. And I realized why. My charade with the kiss had made him consider me differently. Judging from the look in Dee Dee's eyes, she sensed it too. How perceptive humans could be when they wanted to. Maybe I could use this to my advantage. I had a visit from Mr. Glover today, Christine said when she picked me up after school. He said the court has arranged for you to have an extended visit with your mother. It took me a full 2 seconds to remember who Mr. Glover was. Oh, Barakiel. A visit with my mother? For a heartbeat, I thought she meant my real mother. I thought Barakiel had found her and I would get to talk with her, finally, as I had never been allowed to do in Sheol. And then I realized that couldn't be so. He meant the academy. I was going home. But I wasn't done here. My heart skipped a beat. Did he say how long I'll be gone? No, but he said it would be more than a few days. They're working on a special reunification program for you, and it means you'll spend almost as much time with your mom as you do with us. I will come back. Christine shot me a quick smile. I'm sure you will, hun. We can ask Mr. Glover when he comes to get you. We walked into the house and Christine said, you can take any of your things with you. They belong to you. I'll leave them here, I said, because there was no point in taking them to Arcadia. I'm coming back. She shot me an affectionate look and went into the kitchen. I followed her. I knew Christine's routine. She'd loaded the dishwasher and cleaned the house this morning, and now it was time to put things away. I started on the dishes before she could. Don't you have homework? She said, the standard question. I can get it done at my mom's, I said, happy for the excuse. She accepted that and went into the living room. I put the dishes away, listening to the chatter and laughter on the television in the other room. I'd sat and watched with her and Matt on occasion, but I didn't enjoy it. It wasn't a true example of how humans thought and interacted with each other, and it left me more confused than before, so I avoided it. Books, on the other hand, allowed me to enter into the minds and psyches of dozens of different human beings. I could feel their feelings and follow their thought processes. They helped me in understanding the human nature. I'd just put the last plate away when a chime rang throughout the house, indicating someone was at the door. Christine clucked her tongue and hurried to answer it, and I trailed out of the kitchen behind her. Mr. Glover, please come in. Christine opened the door for Elder Master Barakiel, who looked sharp and dignified in a collared shirt and slacks. Jessica, he said, nodding at me. I answered, feeling transparent before the archangel who knew everything about me. Are you ready to go stay with your mom for a bit? I looked at Christine and she nodded. Yes, I said, facing him again. Christine took a deep breath and let it out. Jessica, give us just a moment, sweetie. I'd like to talk to Mr. Glover. Can you stay here? Of course. I sat myself down on the fluffy chair near the window and looked out over the street. One of the cats came and sat near me, but it didn't attempt to sit on my lap. They knew I wasn't human. They approached me from time to time but never touched me and never allowed me to pet them. Snippets of their conversation drifted toward me from the living room without me trying to overhear. Such a somber child. Usually have therapy or counseling. Missing something? Absolutely. Mrs. Maddox. Therapist at her mom's. Needs something more. We will let you know. She's adjusting. Can't be good. Just on the weekends. Actually thought she could spend. Best interests. Okay, yes, thank you. We enjoy her. Keep her forever. Christine laughed at the end of her last words, and though I hadn't heard everything, I'd heard enough to get the gist. I'd come to Earth to learn about humans. I hadn't expected to find a family that would care for me. Barichel and Christine returned a moment later, and Christine's eyes were red and her nose pink. I shot her a questioning look and she waved me off. Matt will be sad not to say goodbye, but Mr. Glover assures me you'll be coming back. Tell him I'll see him soon. Aren't you taking anything with you? No, I have everything I need at my mom's house. Barakiel opened the front door, but before I could go after him, Christine threw her arms around me. Take care, Jessica, and keep your chin up. She pulled back and looked at me with concern in her eyes. We look forward to having you back here. Thank you, I look forward to being back here. Barakiel waited while we said our goodbyes, and then he ushered me out the door. He nodded at Christine and closed the door behind him. I looked around for his car before remembering we wouldn't be traveling that way. We walked down the steps and around the corner. Wait, am I going back? I asked. Did I do something wrong? How have things been going? Barakiel asked. So you know. He stopped on the sidewalk beside the grassy lawn of Crescent Park, places that meant something to me now. Not far beyond, the Mississippi River dawdled past, muddy and brown and magnificent. Contrary to popular belief, angels don't sit in heaven and spy on earth all day. Archangel Michael sends me daily reports of your progress, but they aren't detailed and don't include your feelings, so how have things been going? Good. I'm learning a lot about humans and emotions, and oddly enough, I'm learning that I have similar feelings, even though I've never been born. Why is that? I thought physical bodies created emotion. Being alive makes us subject to emotions, both good and bad. In fact, as spiritual beings, we have a harder time controlling our passions. There's nothing to rein them in. That was why the Father selected the plan for us to come to Earth and get bodies. We could learn to master ourselves and bridle our passions much quicker if we had a body to work with. I've struggled with my passions, I admitted. You're learning? Do you think you still have things to learn? Do you mean, do I need to come back? I glanced down the street at the straight-faced buildings and the grassy park around me. I'm not done here, and now I'm involved with helping Malik with his assignment, and I feel like I'm doing good for people. That's important. We're to minister to human beings as angels, aid them in whatever way we can. What happened with Logan when we're gone? And while you're gone, Malik will still be here. He's not returning with us. Ames not? My heart surged. I'd assumed Malik would be going back to the academy with us. I need to talk to him then. I have information to pass to him about his assignment. Since you won't see him in your bedroom tonight, you need to get the message to him before we go. A slight smile pressed itself to Barakiel's lips, but my body flushed hot. Was that in Archangel Michael's reports? I sputtered. Have we done something wrong? I was afraid of the answer. No, Jez. Malik is one of heaven's noble ones, and though he isn't infallible, no one is. He has been very careful to protect both of your souls. His feelings for you are sacred and sanctioned from on high. So it's okay that he kissed me? Barakiel turned to face me, studying me more carefully. I did not know he had kissed you. My heart sank. I guess Archangel Michael didn't include that in his report. No, he did not. A slight crease formed between Barakiel's brows. My concern is not in the kiss itself, but in the spiritual repercussions for the both of you. Were you harmed? I did not want to admit that I had been, but I could not lie to Barakiel, so I opted to not respond. Barakiel took my silence for what it was. I believe you have your answer. Chapter 20. I closed my eyes, disappointment clutching my heart. Then it wasn't okay. Why did I have to be cursed? If only my spirit had been created in heaven instead of hell. Will I never be rid of this darkness? It's not darkness that clings to you, but the absence of light. You were not created to retain it. I am quite certain, though, Jez, you will find a way around that. Stay right here. I will find Malik and bring him. My stomach tightened. Were we in trouble? What if someone sees me? No one can see us. I phased us to a different plane. I hadn't noticed the change. Oh, I didn't realize. Barakiel took off, blurring until he vanished into the distance, leaving me with questions, as usual. I still needed to learn how to make myself visible and not, but it was his words about light that stuck with me the most. I couldn't retain it. It made sense to me. I had assumed the difference in mine and Malik's spiritual substance made it so we could not touch, but that wasn't it. It was because I did not have the same light as Malik. That was why he burned me, why my darkness injured him the first time we touched also. But Barakiel's words left me encouraged. He seemed to think I could overcome this difficulty. There was a whoosh of wings, and suddenly both of them stood in front of me. You're going back to Arcadia? Malik said. He didn't reach for me, not even my wings, and I knew it was because Barakiel stood there. I wished the Archangel would leave for a moment so we could talk, but he didn't. Yes, you had information about his assignment? Barakiel prodded. I exhaled with a nod. So this wasn't about the kiss. I have some insight on Logan, I said, facing Malik. Wait, what is it? I need to stay close to him. I know when the Tenteri are around him, and I can distract him from them. Also, I don't think his connection to Didi is a healthy one. If we can get the two of them less involved, it might weaken his vulnerability to the Tenteri. Barachiel pulled out a tablet. I need to take care of something. I'll be right back. I felt a surge of gratitude when he left, though I wasn't sure if it were coincidental or if he'd granted us this time alone. I have an idea, I said. Logan seems to like me, at least a little. I can pull his emotions my direction, make him more interested in me than in Didi. Malik shook his head. You can't do that. You'd be manipulating him just like the Temtari. I felt a stab of indignation. I'd be helping him? It doesn't matter what your end goal would be. You'd be taking away his ability to decide. I frowned, frustrated. How could he not see what a benefit this would be? It would be better for him in the end, I argued. It's not how it's done. He stepped closer, finally taking one of my wings and pulling on the ends of the feathers, his expression softening. Besides, it wouldn't be fair. Fair? What's fair got to do with it? A slight smile touched his lips, but it held a tinge of sadness to it. You don't know what it's like to love. Something tightened in my belly at the word, as if someone had reached a fist inside me and squeezed my insides. What's love got to do with it? What indeed? Barakiel returned in a rush of light, descending so close to us that Malik let me go. Ready, Jez? Yes. I gave Malik a hard stare. Think about what I said. Barakiel opened a portal in the grass. I'm right behind you. I stepped through it, my feet landing on the soft carpet of Barakiel's office. Instantly, a measured feeling of peace and goodness filled me, wiping away tensions and worries I hadn't known I had. I took a deep breath and held it, the light of Arcadia filling my soul. Good to be back, Barakiel asked. I had forgotten what it felt like, I admitted. That happens. Earth is a wonderful place, but the shadows and darkness roam so freely that we cease to notice them. You, especially, are at risk, since you don't carry your own light. It's important to bring you back to Arcadia from time to time so you can replenish. You're free to go where you wish. You may resume classes tomorrow. Barakiel stepped out of his office and headed down the hall. I matched his pacing. How can I get my own light? All of the Father's creations that chose to go to Earth were given some of his light before we were born. It was a gift to help us in times of darkness, if we would just realize we had it. We call it the light of the first. You got it before you were born. My heart tumbled again. I will never be born. The light was a gift for choosing to go. Barakiel met my eyes with his clear blue ones. He was trying to tell me something, but I wasn't sure what it was, so I nodded. How long will I be here? We'll get you caught up on your classes before we send you back, so maybe a week or two. Arcadia was connected to Earth time. I would return sometime in February. Then, I'll find out what I'm behind in. I went to my dorm and changed first, enjoying the feeling of pulling on my academy shirt and sweater. My wings popped out behind me, and I admired their width and beauty, reminding myself to be grateful. They were one thing I thought I'd never have. Then I went to the cafeteria and loaded up on baked goods and berries. I felt the pureness of the food as it entered me, the strength that poured into me. I hoped to run into Iblis, as I had so much to tell her, and since my time on Earth I had a frame of reference for our relationship. She was, without doubt, my best friend. But I didn't see her as I went to my various classes, checking with my instructors to see what I was missing. They gave me my assignments and I jotted them down in my agenda, intending to spend the evening in the library catching up. First, I stopped by the greenhouse to check on my plant, or plants as it turned out. "Well, you're back," Savriel said when I entered. "I'm here," I replied with a smile. I knelt in front of the two green life forms shooting up from the dirt, spiritual energies singing in unison together. The second was nearly as tall as the third. I placed my fingers in the dirt and added my voice to their song, sending energy up through their roots. They responded with notes of satisfaction and contentment. "They're connected to each other," I said in wonder. "They've nourished and grown together," Master Sabriel said, crouching in front of me. "If I took one away, the other would suffer," I said, the very idea making me mournful. Yes, by itself, each of these plants would wither and not grow to its potential. However, as long as they have at least one other to share life forces with, the plant can recover. That's why we plant in threes. Would you like to plant another? "I worry about there not being enough ground space for the root systems," I said. "I want them to grow together but not suffocate each other. And you give them the space they need. They'll tell you if you listen. I'll show you. Come, pick a seed." I followed her over to the table of seedlings and selected a smooth, round yellow ball this time. "This is a mustard seed," Sabriel said, and she beamed. "It's one of the most symbolic of all seeds." "Symbolic of what?" I asked, intrigued. "Of faith, perfect for what you need." I followed her back to my garden row, and she showed me how to listen to the plants. Though tiny, my mustard seed required more space to grow than they did, so I spaced it out away from them. "Come check on it tomorrow, see how your faith is growing," she said. "I don't understand faith," I said. "I don't think I have any." "I am certain you do, even if it's only the size of this little seed right now. Faith is hope, Jez, and I see it radiating from every fiber of your being." "Really?" I felt it flare then. A spike of hope, a lustrous anticipation that left me tingly. Barakiel was right. We can expect great things from you. Her praise affected me much more than I would have expected. I stayed in the library through the remainder of the evening and rejoined my classmates in the cafeteria at dinner time. I spotted Iblis and Jeremiel sitting side by side, touching wherever they could, from the hips to the thighs to the shoulders. I still detected threads of gray in Jeremiel's aura, but they were less pronounced, covered by shades of green and orange. I stood at the table across from them, behind Dara and Jeremiel. "Can I sit here?" I asked. Dara and Jeremiel looked up at me and immediately scooted over, and Iblis jumped to her feet. "You're back," she squealed. "I'm back," I replied, grinning at her. If we were two mortal girls, I would hug her. But I couldn't. I settled in between. "Tell us everything," Iblis said. "How was it?" I couldn't sum up my adventures in a few words. I learned a lot. It was a good experience. "And you'll be here at the academy from now on?" Dora asked. "I don't think so." There's more I have to learn, so I'm supposed to go back. I'm just not sure when. I sure hoped I'd go back. I hated the thought of never seeing Christine and Matt again. I raised an eyebrow at Iblis. What's been going on here? I inclined my head toward Jeremiel. She gave a lazy smile, but didn't bother satisfying my curiosity. Same as usual. Schoolwork and hanging out and stuff. Boring compared to Earth life, Dara said with longing in her voice. You miss being on Earth? Aremiel looked at her like she was crazy. There's so much light and goodness here, I said, echoing his sentiments. Humans have much to offer, and I'm learning about the depths of emotions and feelings they have. But I didn't realize the shadow that had fallen over my soul until I was back in Arcadia. But you still want to go back, Dara said. Yes, I nodded. There's more for me to experience there. Iblis stood up, tossing her hair and holding her tray. Where are you headed? Back to the room. I'll meet you there. She bobbed her head at Jeremiel, who picked up his tray as well. Can't wait to hear about your adventures, Dara said. I'm so envious. You'll be to Earth soon enough, I said, when you get your assignment as a third year. Right. I finished my lunch, a simple yet tasty sandwich of bread, fresh cheese, and sprouts. What I wanted was a bowl of gumbo so spicy it made my mouth burn. I put my tray away and went out to the garden and waited. I'd sensed his eyes on me from the moment I walked into the cafeteria, and I would rather face him here than anywhere else. The door opened and Kerubiel stepped out, his shadow elongated, the darkness flickering in his aura. He couldn't hide it, and if I could see it, so could the masters. Why did they let him stay? What have you been up to? I demanded. You reek like a temptar. Like a demon? He tilted his head and gave a smile, but it didn't reach his eyes, which appeared sunken and red. Coming from you, that's almost a compliment. What do you want? How was life on Earth? I crossed my arms and pursed my lips. You didn't answer my question. Either of them. Why should I? I'm not accountable to you. Two could play this game, and I'm not accountable to you. Tendrils of shadow rolled away from him, uncoiling near my feet. I took a step back, feeling a tremor of alarm. Kerubiel, I said, I don't know what you're doing, but it's dangerous. I'm not the one in danger. What do you mean? I've come to warn you. You were sent to warn me. I arched both eyebrows, and I didn't like the fear that raced along my spine. I'd spent too much time with humans, and the earthly emotions came too easily. Who have you been talking to? No wonder he reeked of demons. I took another step back. Have you been to Sheol? Again, he didn't answer my question. Stop trying to help the human boy. Or what? Now my anger spiked. Hassatin will take my soul instead? He can try. Kerubiel shushed me with a wave of his arm. Don't say such things. Where is your shade boyfriend? Ease on. I shut my mouth. I didn't want to admit where Malik was. Earth, Kerubiel finished for me. There are many ways to get there, you know. I know that, you idiot, I snapped, borrowing from Earth slang. Of course you do. You used to make that journey, didn't you? His eyelids half closed, his voice slurring. If you don't draw attention to yourself, no one will notice you. But pull any big stints and the tempter will have to take action. I shivered, but I was too angry to be scared. You can't threaten me. I'm not threatening you. He offered a slitted smile and turned toward the door. I'm warning you. Malik was right about you, I hissed. Kerubiel swiveled back. What did he say about me? That you were up to something bad, I sputtered. That he could sense your darkness. He told me to stay away from you. Kerubiel's smile glittered. Guess you should have listened to him. Too bad he's not here to protect you from big bad me. He disappeared back into the cafeteria, and I sank onto one of the benches, taking deep breaths to calm myself. I definitely had not mastered anger yet. But why was Kerubiel permitted to stay here? plaguing angels who wanted to draw closer to the light. I knew without having to think too hard, free will. Kerubiel would be given as many chances as he wanted to stay at the academy. But if he continued down this path of darkness, the light would be too much. It would burn him as it would me if I didn't have Barakiel's cloak of protection. I was much calmer by the time Iblis came up to our dorm. "You took a while," I said. I was catching up on history assignments, reading about the first primitive Earth civilizations. The first spirits to be born had been rough and strong, as their purpose was to establish a foundation of human life on Earth. They were the beginning building block. They agreed to come to a primitive planet, knowing they would shape it and mold it and prepare it to receive more spirits. I went for a walk with Jeremiel. I studied her, noting the happy gleam in her eye. Looks like things progressed while I was gone. Well, it was nice to have someone else to talk to. "A second best friend?" I joked. "Maybe more than that," she admitted. "I'm glad," I said. "We don't flourish on our own." I thought of my plants, growing stronger with the strength of a kindred spirit nearby. She pulled her chair over to my desk. "So, tell me all. You seem different." "I feel different," I admitted. "I understand a lot more about humanity. All these things that used to seem weird, now I get why people react that way. Your mannerisms are different. You're less rigid, more natural. Experiencing humanity has enriched my soul. It's changed my way of viewing things." "Did you meet any cute guys?" She smirked. "Why would I need a human boy when I have Malik?" Her eyes widened. "Are you two officially a thing?" I'd heard that term on Earth and knew it in context, but I hesitated in my response. "I care for Malik, and I'm certain he cares for me, but we've never said we were a thing." "Oh, don't be ridiculous." Iblis slapped the wood of my desk. "What are you expecting? That he's going to ask you out? It's different here. There aren't any silly games. There's just the mutual recognition of liking each other, and that's that. You're together." But Malik said when angels love, it's a forever thing. I can't be his forever. I'm not one of you. He can't even touch me. My wings drooped in sadness at the truth of my words. "I don't know anything about angel love." Iblis shook her head. "Just enjoy right now, Jazz." I heard what she was saying, but it sounded more like the dating philosophy on Earth. Malik had made it sound much more permanent than that. A wistful smile spread across my face as I remembered our moments together. I recognized these emotions as the same ones I'd felt rolling off the giddy, starry-eyed girls at De La Salle High. "He kissed me." "Did he? That's wonderful, Jez." She looked delighted, but not shocked. "But you just said he can't touch you." "Well, his lips can. I didn't explain how it had burned me." Now she laughed. "There's a lot you can do with lips." There was, but I didn't like the thought of my angelic roommate having knowledge of such carnal things. "And you and Jeremiel, has he kissed you?" "Has." She got an impish look on her face. "We spent a lot of time together when you were away." "I'm glad. He seems so unhappy sometimes." Her expression sobered. "He worries a lot about his family." "Have you seen them?" She shook her head. "He's private about them. He doesn't want me to attend a viewing with him, but he tells me about them. Their situation is not good. He hopes when he becomes a guardian he can request them as an assignment. I think that's a good plan. I felt better knowing Jeremiel had placed his hopes in something he could accomplish. No more talk about sneaking off to Earth.